I'm Curious Vedanth and welcome to my podcast. The last few episodes have been about factory farming and helping animals. Now we are starting a series on engineers. And my first engineer guest is B.Ramagopal, my maternal grandfather. He is a civil engineer and is the founder of Navale Consulting Group. Navale Consulting Group, or NCG, is a consulting firm providing services in the fields of architecture and engineering. Hi Ramagopal Tata, welcome to my show.
Thank you, Vedanth. So nice to be on your show.
Even it's awesome to have you on my show. So Tata, in my research, I learned that engineering is all about solving problems. I'm curious to know what type of problems do civil engineers like you solve?
See, there are so many types of problems. In civil engineering, actually, there are so many branches. One is there are civil engineers who deal with roads and buildings, dealing with dams, engineers dealing with buildings, engineers dealing with so many other aspects of the civil engineering. I'm dealing with the, let's say, buildings. So in that also we face so many problems in the sense that the client requirements will be something different, the soil conditions will be different, the condition of the place, climate. There are so many factors which we have to take into consideration, and also the quality of material and quality of labor. There are so many factors.
How hard is it to solve these puzzles? Is it like solving a 5,000 piece jigsaw puzzle, or easier or harder?
It is different from that. See, it is once you are generally into the field, some of the problems are regular. I mean, you know what are the type of problems you may encounter and you'll be prepared for it. But there are sometimes you get some additional new problems which may crop up due to any factor. Could be the labor factor, could be material, could be anything. So those things we have to think and solve. See, basically any engineer, whether civil or any engineer, taught to think logically and solve the problem. So it becomes part of the system.
You have such an interesting job.
Yes.
How do floors not break when heavy things like wardrobes and machines and many people are on the floor?
See, depending on the type of load which comes onto the structure or a building or even let us say bridge or anything, depending on that load, calculations are made. Structure is designed according to that particular requirement. Let us say we have designed a building where for a residence. Now you cannot use that for a factory because the loading in a factory will be totally different. The forces which act on the building will be different. For example, if I design for a small car to go, for example, when you are doing your Lego, you are having a small bridge you make and its small car goes, it is fine. But if you try to put something heavier, it will collapse. So same way, everything is designed required according to a particular requirement. So in that also they keep what is called as a factor of safety. So suppose you are designing it for, say, let us say 10 people, you may design it for 20 people. So even if 20 people comes, nothing happens. But if more comes, there are chances something may happen.
In such big factories, like example an aeroplane factory, there aren't many levels, but the aeroplanes are so big and heavy. How do you make sure the floor doesn't break or the building doesn't fall?
Depending on the type of requirement and type of load, the buildings are designed according to that. Now, for example, the load of the aircraft is quite a lot. So the flooring will be designed according to. So there will be what we give as called reinforcement. That is, steel rods will be there in the concrete, and that makes the whole structure much stronger. So all these things, the quantity of steel which goes into it, the type of steel, the thickness of concrete, the type of concrete, there are so many factors which all these things, based on the load and the requirement, it is designed, buildings are designed.
What are all the different types of concretes?
See, concrete generally what we use now is basically cement, sand, and stone. That and along with that, the reinforcement is given in by means of steel rods. That is the usual what presently is being done. But earlier days, even with lime concrete also was there, and there are now so many other chemicals which are added to give different strengths or different characteristics for different types of concrete. For example, concrete which is used in a seashore or in the sea, when there are some structures in the sea, that requires a different type of concrete. So there, different type of chemical is added, and it is made strengthened so that the sea water does not damage it. Similarly, for different purposes, like in a severe cold place, the concrete will be a different chemical or a different composition is required.
In tall buildings like the Burj Khalifa
Mhm.
in Dubai and the Empire State Building in New York, how
Mhm.
do you plan the foundations and calculate the depth for it?
See, whatever, irrespective of the height, the size, everything, all these factors are taken, and then the foundations are designed depending also on the soil condition and the height of the building, the width of the building, and the weight of the material, I mean, the entire structure, and the type of building it is used for. Like, for example, if it is a residential or a hotel or a mixed, whatever it is, so the loads are calculated, and based on that, the foundations are designed. And again, they also, for your information, all these tall buildings, in fact, they do sway in the wind. They give allowance for the buildings to sway also. So that's how they are stable. And different types of materials are used actually in, for example, most of the places now, they use a lot of steel structures also, not only concrete, or sometimes both the things together.
They also use glass sometimes, right?
Glass is generally used as a what we call as a facade. That means it is like what you are having window or just a elevation or entire, instead of a wall, brick wall, you may have a glass. And glasses are also used as a structural member, but that is very rare and that will be minimum. But generally, glass is used as a facade.
When you drill holes in the walls and the pillars, why doesn't the building fall down?
No, it again depends on what size of the hole you're drilling. Suppose you drill a big hole, then definitely there are chances it will fall. So up to a particular what you call size, it doesn't matter, because there actually the question of physics and chemistry, all those things come in, because whatever the concrete or the brickwork what has been used, that would have formed as a unit by itself, and that would withhold any of such minor holes which you drill.
In the olden days, when there were no computers at all, how did you make the drawings for the huge buildings?
Yes, it's a good question, but we were having what you call drawing boards, and on the drawing board, manually we had to do the drawings. And that is what I'm talking is just a few years ago, before the computers came in. We have all learned initially making drawings on the drawing board, that is with a set square and ruler and things like that. So any size of building, the scaling would be different and they will make the drawings. But again, if you when you're talking of old buildings, if you think of really older buildings like old temples and so many things, perhaps they were drawing it on the ground, or they may be also, drawing it on some other material, which we don't know, but they were all great engineers. All those, whatever the old structures, whatever you see, whether it's in temples in India or pyramid, or in Roman, they are huge buildings, and they are beautiful buildings, much better than what we are doing now.
Yesterday, my mother told me that the Empire State Building was made before you were born. How did they do the plans for all of those big glass bits and building?
In the same way, manually they were doing the drawings, as I told you, on the drawing board, on the huge drawing board with a set square and a ruler. They were making the drawings.
Why did you choose to be a civil engineer? As a child, what did you want to be?
Well, Vedant, when we were children, we were not having much of choice. My parents felt that I should do engineering, though my father was a veterinary doctor and his brother was a doctor, but his other three brothers were all engineers. And somehow he felt that they were doing quite good in their life. So he felt that I should also take up engineering. And I joined engineering. And when I wanted to join engineering, I was thinking of either electronics or architecture. But those days we had very few colleges which were having architecture. So as a civil engineer, you could become an architect when I joined engineering.
On your first day of electronics or civil, how did you feel?
Yeah, it was excitement, and at the same time, we were something curious, but may not be as curious as you are.
What is your favorite building and why?
Love seeing the old temples or palaces, those old buildings. They are really nice. So I would love them being there.
My favorite buildings are like temples and the Charminar, the Empire State Building, Burj Khalifa, and all the other monuments.
Good. You have covered quite a lot of places.
What are your hobbies?
Well, Vedant, I had a lot of hobbies when I was in. I was collecting stamps, I was collecting coins, I was having photography as my hobby, where I used to do my own developing of the film and printing and music, then learning different languages. So many things were there.
Even I love learning languages. From where did you collect all the stamps in those days?
Now, earlier we had a lot of posts coming, so it was all postage stamps, which I collected. Whatever was coming to me, whatever was coming to my friends, to my relatives, because I was collecting, they were giving me also. And also those days we had what you call, whenever a new stamp was released, there used to be a special first day cover, which was having a special cancellation. So in fact, I used to go and stand in the queue in the post office to buy those new stamps and first day covers. So I did have quite a good collection. Still, it is there.
Wow. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food is definitely our own Angar food, Hebar Angar food, like avrekai kolam, like puliyogre, bisi belabat, ambode, etc.
Do you like salads?
Yes.
I knew it. And also, my mother told me you like curd rice.
Yes, very much.
Thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you, Vedant. It was so nice talking to you.
You're welcome. Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedanth, to get updates on the upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, subscribe by searching for Curious Vedanth wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. You can also listen to my show on vedant.buzzsprout.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedanth. Don't forget to rate and leave comments.